Go for a hike in the woods, preferably off-trail to make the trip even more stimulating for your brain. Nature walks can also reduce stress.
As the world entered an unprecedented crisis, chess24 quickly created the first of its kind online chess tour. Working from Monday to Monday, we brought together the best players in the world. For the largest online prize fund ever, broadcast live in 10 languages, the tour innovated and filled the void created by the lack of in-person play, reaching more people worldwide than any chess event, live or online, ever. As the first season approaches its conclusion, we want to thank you for supporting chess24 by going premium. Whether because you want to improve your chess by perusing our vast library of content available only to premium members, or just to say thank you for all the fun we've had. We appreciate the support as we strive to entertain chess fans around the globe and expand the reach of the royal game.
Try brushing your teeth with the opposite hand of what you would normally use. If it's too easy, you can also balance on one leg at the same time. When you break even the simple routines, you can challenge your brain to strengthen underused nerve cells.
Time to take control of your journey towards chess mastery. Magnus Carlsen introduces Chessable, the definitive solution for studying chess. Move Trainer uses the science of spaced repetition to identify your strengths and eliminate your weaknesses. There's no need to set up a board, remember which page you're on, or keep track of all the moves you miss. Move Trainer empowers you to go from the opening to the end game with confidence. It's a seamless, effective, and fun way to study chess. Choose from one of the largest online chess libraries in the world, with hundreds of titles ranging from classic books through to our exclusive Chessable courses, including over 100 free courses. Get expert insights from International Master John Bartholomew, Grandmaster Sam Shankland, International Master Christoph Sulecki, Grandmaster Simon Williams, World Champion Magnus Carlsen, and hundreds of other instructors. Get started now and join our growing community of over 100,000 chess enthusiasts at chessable.com. Chessable, take control of your journey towards chess mastery.
Try to read upside down, for example in a newspaper or an email. This challenges your brain to increase its elasticity, that is, the ability to learn.
c7.
But still, knight on c3 is very bad.
You're always complaining about my knight on c3. Watch out.
Rook d4.
Eventually, one day it will become good.
welcome to what could potentially be the final day of the Legends of Chess event, because Magnus Carlsen leads the final with his first set victory, which leaves Yan Nepomniachtchi playing catch up, because if he's got to make it to the grand final, to the Magnus Carlsen Chess Tour grand final, this is what he needs to do. He needs to win today on demand to book a match for tomorrow, take the final into the third day, and not just that, also win tomorrow against the world champion. Not an easy task for our two finalists. Let's take a look at how they got here. This was their road so far. Starting from the qualifiers, Magnus Carlsen and Yan Nepomniachtchi both cruised and crushed their way through to the semis. way ahead of everybody else. They got there before anyone else made it, a couple of rounds before, really showing world-class chess by both these players. Magnus Carlsen yet to lose a single match in the entire event. Going into the semifinals, Magnus Carlsen crushed Peter Swidler in 2 matches. He wrapped up the entire semifinals for himself in 2 days, not just in 2 matches, in 3 games in each of the match. While Yan, Nepomniachtchi, Anish Giri treated us to a sensational semifinal, in the end, it was Yan who made it to the top and booked his spot in the finals. A lot at stake, as the world champion himself said, for Nepo, way more than Magnus Carlsen himself. Magnus has already booked his spot in the 300,000 Magnus Carlsen Chess Tour final. So in this event, it's not just the $15,000 prize money difference between the runner-up and the winner of the event that Yan is fighting for, but also for the 4th, the very last spot in the final of the entire Magnus Carlsen Chess Tour. It starts on 9th of August. We've already got Magnus Carlsen, Daniel Dubov, and Hikaru Nakamura who've booked their spots, and the fight is between Yan Nepomniachtchi and Ding Liren. In case Magnus wins this event, it's going to be Ding Liren who makes it to the finals. Yesterday's first day of the finals, it was absolutely sensational. I think it really showed that these two are the players who belonged to this final. Like, it could not have been more exciting. We were treated to some amazing commentary by the 12th world champion Anatoly Karpov, who joined us, by the strongest female player in the history of the game, Judith Polgar. There was Sasha, there was Yan. It was absolutely phenomenal. But I want to show you a couple of things that I found were the standout moments from yesterday's match. Just give me a second. I'm going to pull that up. And let's go to this game. This was the first game of the match where Magnus Carlsen drew blood. And it was amazing to see the way Yan approached the entire first set of the match. He played in his typical fearless, aggressive style, playing combative chess, not backing down, not fearful of the world champion in any way, because he knows the way to try and win against Magnus Carlsen is to take him out of his comfort zone. And we saw a lot of back and forth struggle between these two throughout the first set. This game was extremely complex, and there were some amazing moments throughout. But I think one of the most instructive points in the entire game was right here. And Yan just played the move Queen D8. Of course, the threat is that Magnus can't queen, because White then just gives a check. I'm not able, 1 second. Yeah, so if you queen, then Yan just gives a check, and this doesn't work at all. So Queen D8 was against the idea of black queening. But I think what Magnus played here, it just shows absolute class. It's a move that he blitzed out in seconds. And he went for Queen E5. This is also a move that Judith Polgar pointed out in very little time. And I wouldn't say it's the most spectacular move of the entire game, but I would say that it is the most instructive move for all of us. And the reason for that is that playing on seconds, Magnus Carlsen places the queen on the most dominating square on the board. He centralizes his queen, and it almost feels like these top players have this feel of where the pieces belong. And it's really something to take note of, because take a look at this. The queen from E5 protects against the threat of Queen H8. So now the threat of H1 queen is real. Attacks the pawn on E4, and not just that, there's a big threat of Queen B5 mate. They're almost like White has to fight now against two weaknesses: the king on A4 that's weak, as well as defending Black from queening the pawn. And again, like I said, Queen E5, not the most sensational move, but just finishes the game on the spot by bringing a very powerful piece into a very powerful position. And here, Yan went Queen H4, trying to stop the threats, but it doesn't help, because after King G7, again, because of the position of this queen, there are no checks on the board. The E7 square is controlled. And now, after King B3, defending against Queen B5 mate, Black picked up the pawn with a check. And the point is that if you go King A2 here, After queen e2, either with queen f3 or queen f1 on the next move, black's going to queen the pawn. And with this, after white went king c3, Magnus picked up another pawn, and it was game over, did not give any chances to Yan. And I really thought that queen e5 is just a beautiful move found in seconds by both Judith and Magnus Carlsen. The next moment that really caught my eye in the game was in game 4. And Yan Nepomniachtchi had to win this game on demand to go into the blitz portion of yesterday's match. And that's not an easy task at all when you're playing the world champion. You've got to win on demand. This was game 3 actually. And Yan started off with what we saw him employ against Magnus's knight off in the rapid portion of yesterday. He went for the early rook g1. And now after black has captured on e8 with the bishop, this is where things really started to take shape for Yan Nepomniachtchi. He goes rook h4. And I found this rook play extremely fascinating. So the rook started its journey from h1, goes to g1. The pawn goes from g4 to g5. Then the rook goes to g4 and finally comes into attack with rook h4. And this is where the rook becomes a monster. Now there's a real threat of queen h5 threatening queen h7 mate. So black's got to do something to defend that. Magnus went g6. Things are still under control for Magnus, but he's got to play precisely. And because of Yan's aggressive style throughout the opening, Magnus was shot on the clock already. After g6, Yan made a fascinating move, queen g4. Absolutely not worrying about giving up the knight on f5, because actually it cannot be taken. If black does capture the knight after queen h5, the mate on h7, you can delay it for a move or two, but it's unstoppable. Queen g4 is such a stunning move because not only does it indirectly defend against the threat of gf5, but also has a nasty threat of its own. White is threatening to go knight h6, and check this out. Pick up the knight on d7. Magnus Carlsen replies with the only move that keeps the game alive for him, which is knight c5, defending against the threat of knight h6, on which Yan went for not the most precise play, but the most difficult one to counter, especially when you're playing on seconds. Here Yan played queen h3, and the whole point is, of course, he's threatening to take on h7 and threaten mate with that. And this was a very critical moment. Here, the world champion had only one move to stay alive, but that one move would have been enough. And in fact, he did spot this move, as he told us in the post-game interview. Magnus had to go bishop g5, and after rook h7, take on d2, queen g5 check, bring the king out, knight e4, king b4. Also interesting to note that how white must play and put his kings on the dark squares and not the light squares, because that would allow checks with the bishop. Doesn't really matter because black's got enough checks to keep him alive, and actually a perpetual would follow and the game would have been drawn. But here, as Magnus said, that queen h3 put him on tilt. He didn't understand this move at all, and something changed, and he saw h5. He also saw rook he went for h5 here. He saw what followed up, but there was a big blind spot in his calculation. Yan Nepomniachtchi goes for the brilliant rook h5, just blowing up the position on the king's side. And after gh5, queen h5, there is a big threat of going g6, as well as threats around knight h6 and queen h6. Lots of threats on the board. It's black is simply lost here. What did Magnus Carlsen miss? He told us later that he was counting on bishop e4 and the fact that this defends the h7 square, but a big blind spot because after g6, the game is in fact over. Fg6 just runs into mate. And if not fg6, if you take the knight after g6, that would mean queen h7 mate. Instead, Magnus played knight e6 and resigned instantly, not even waiting for the killer g6 on the board. It doesn't really help him because after you take, white picks up the pawn, picks up everything with checks, and there's mate to follow. On rook f7, there's knight h6. If you move back with the king, there's queen h6 and queen g7. Magnus Carlsen played knight e6, resigned instantly. And with that, Yan did what very few game by Yan, and Magnus Carlsen, definitely shaken up by this, decided to take things easy. In game 4, it was a quick draw. And the very last thing that I think I really want to show you before we move on to the action of today was in one of the blitz games, and this is this position. Here, Yan played Here, Magnus has just made the move, queen takes f2. And this is such a complex position. Yan had made a mistake early on where he had to give the queen for rook and knight, but he did manage to set up a kind of a cage for Black's king where Black always had to be careful of threats along the 8th rank. So really fighting it out and playing on less than a minute. These two showed absolute accuracy in very short time, and it was filled with attacks and counterattacks, constantly putting pressure on your opponent, constantly asking questions and counter questions, finding resources, all done in less than a minute in the blitz format. This was a critical moment. And again, the one and only Judith Polgar found a stunning line that left all of us in absolute awe. Here, Yan missed his golden opportunity of going. He played rook d6, after which everything fell apart. But g8-6 was a brilliant resource, which was missed by Yan. And the whole point is king h8, you don't want to go, because after rook d6, it's a really bad structure for the king, and you just would not be able to get out of this mess. So that would ruin all the chances. And there's a beautiful draw after king f6, rook d6. No matter where the king goes, a million checks with the rook follows, and the game would have ended in a draw. Instead, nobody really found this resource. Not Jan Gustafsson, not Grischuk, not even Magnus Carlsen, not even Yan Nepomniachtchi. It was only Judith who found this, and this was an amazing moment, I thought, and a really study-like draw, which was missed. Instead, Yan went for rook d6 after queen f2, and the game was over not very soon, but Black combining. Sorry, just give me a second. Right, so instead of g8-6, Yan went for rook d6, and now after h e5, the world champion in absolute class, combining threats along this g-pawn as well as along this king, lots of maneuvers, managed to come through. And with that, took the lead. The second game of the blitz, he also won in great manner, though Yan managed to create some chances, but not good enough. And I think this game was absolutely incredible of the blitz, because both these players were playing in less than a minute, several moves, very difficult and only moves to make on the board. And it left you in awe, but also made you realize just how good these guys are, and make you feel bad about your own life, because you realize how crap you are at chess, just looking at this amazing play of nerves as well as over the board. And with that, Magnus Carlsen won the first set, and we are set up for day 2. Let's take a look at how it went. And as we saw in that, Magnus Carlsen took it all in the blitz portion. Yan Nepomniachtchi has to win on demand today. It's been a fantastic event so far, and like we were talking about it, that truly the two most deserving players in the finals with the kind of chess that they have shown throughout the tournament. I do see that we are joined by Judith. We will bring her in shortly. Just a quick reminder to all our viewers that this has been a fantastic journey so far with the entire tour. And of course, there's also the Magnus Carlsen Chess Tour final coming up. But it's a bit bittersweet, because it also means it's the end of the journey of an amazing gift of chess, really, that all of us have gotten in a very, very difficult time. And I think it's been incredible the way chess24 has responded to the pandemic by providing us with this entertainment, this world-class chess, watching these top players come together and show us incredible play, not just over the board, the kind of broadcast that's been put together, the events around it, whether it's been Banter Blitz, whether it's been bringing on the 12th world champion on board, the 13th world champion. And it's just been amazing to be able to have this in our lives right now, and makes it a little more sane for us, I think. Of course, all of this is only possible with your support, and we thank you for all of that. But definitely the best way to make sure that chess24 is able to continue to provide us with all of this top level chess, and to bring about all these amazing events that they do to spread the game, to bring all the joy that they do with chess is to consider going premium. And there's an amazing deal with a 40% off currently. You can use the code Chess Legends for that. You get access to several of the various libraries authored by world champions, by strong grandmasters to work on your game, to improve on your game. You also get to participate in various events like the Banter Blitz and the Q&A. There's a lot of stuff that you get by this, but most importantly, you make sure that chess24 can continue doing what they're doing, which is to bring top-level chess in the most entertaining format that we know during a very difficult time. And talking about a difficult time, the one player who's going to have a very difficult time today is going to be Yan Nepomniachtchi. Let's get insights from our experts. Yan, Judith, welcome.
Hi.
Hello.
All right, guys, so a big day for Yan ahead. He's got to win on demand. He's got to not only win on demand. Yesterday was such a brutal day, long chess, difficult chess. To recover from that, Judith, is a point that you've brought up a lot of times. It's a very hard thing to do. Do you think we're going to see a day 3 in the finals?
Well, I think I hope so to see day 3, but it's going to be extremely hard for Yan. But I'm sure he had done great relaxing. Hopefully he slept well and he's ready for the fight today. But well, we'll see. Maybe it's better for him if he starts with the black pieces in game 1. But I think a lot of things will depend how the first 2 game goes. If what kind of chances will be missed or any of the players will take the lead.
I'm also curious if he stuck to his recipe from losing to Anish Giri, where he said he went out and got some whiskey. I'm not sure if that will work again, but I'm curious. Yan has shown that he can play with Magnus in these events and in the past. And I think what Judith brings up is an important point. It's a little easier maybe to be black in the first game, because especially if you go for a sharp fight and then you lose it with white, it's so hard to come back into the match. Well, if you start with black, now Magnus has to show if he has any ideas against this Grunfeld, for example. Makes life a little easier because you know what to do.
Well, I would definitely love to see more Sicilian today. We had a lot of fun yesterday with all the sharp lines. And it was quite amazing to see how Yan punched back in game 3 and gave a knockout to Magnus. Obviously, he had to make some serious mistakes there, but I think from opening point of view, it was very interesting battle. That in the first game, Magnus did not dare to take the sacrificed pawn. And then in game 3, he did, which he regretted, right? So I'm very curious how Magnus is up to in the Sicilian, or he's going to be switching to the more safer and more boring Berlin or something else.
I'm on Sasha's side. Give us some Berlins. Enough of all this drama.
We have to
like
have some
nice
great
pawn
Sicilian.
structures, safe kings. We'll see.
I mean, I know that Yan can shuffle things and make things sharp, but it's easier in the Sicilian, right?
For sure. A lot will depend on what Magnus chooses. He's been a bit more of a 1d4 player over, at least this year, the course of these tournaments. But Yan Nepomniachtchi's Grunfeld has looked pretty good. Therefore, I'm very curious about his first move already.
I'm wondering, actually, maybe Yan, you can tell me more about it. That what is the system of Magnus? How does he choosing opening? Is it a lot by his mood? That sometimes it's just boring for him and then he wants to sharpen things out? He wants to challenge his opponent, or he wants to challenge himself first?
Truthfully, I do not know. And if I did know, I wouldn't say it. But we've seen that he's capable to play pretty much anything. And sometimes it looked like he makes a sport out of it to play his opponent's favorite system against that opponent. Like here he plays the Najdorf against Nepomniachtchi. In the past, we've seen him play this, whatever it's called, this Möller against Caruana after he had just taken it up. So I'm not sure if he enjoys the extra challenge or if he thinks it's a good psychological ploy to use people's systems against them. But he's been doing that quite a bit.
Yeah, I find it very interesting how he can switch and because in some situations he's doing this when he's absolutely on a leading position and he wouldn't need to be making things more complicated. but he goes for the complications and he goes for the interesting play and new ideas. And so I find it very appealing the way he's choosing his openings, and he's brave. He's playing bravely in many situations. Like yesterday, he could easily go somewhere else, other line, but he was ready just an hour later to grab the pawn and go into the preparation of Yan. But we have
And
the game started.
we have. Oh, you'll be disappointed. This is
Yes.
not the most exciting of openings. The London system. In times of need, Magnus often goes to this London system. He's played it.
Okay.
pretty
Well, he
much-
did it in the World Championship match. Okay, he played Bishop G5. Well, he can go to this direction. Maybe he wants to be solid in the first game.
Yeah, although I think it's also just a system he believes suits his style, that gives him a game where he can play for a win. He likes doing this. I think he played it throughout the World Rapid Championship and the World Blitz Championship. Played against Svidler here. And the position is no longer so boring. So we have no more excuses to make. This gets interesting. One small thing is he didn't go h3, which most people that play the system play automatically just to make a square for this bishop on h2 in case it gets attacked. But Magnus tries to do without it. And Yan says, all right, if you
Well,
do
I
not make a
guess
square-
interesting players just simply make interesting games even out of a kind of boring position, right?
That could be it. He allows his knight to h5, after which his bishop is in danger. It goes to g5, h6, bishop h4, and g5. Very principled. Black gets the two bishops. He wouldn't mind the weakening of his king. So Magnus plays knight fd2, attacking this knight on h5. I do think I've seen this position before, and knight f4 was a possibility. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that looks a funny reply.
Didn't happen.
And he went knight f6. So Magnus saves his bishop pair.
Mm-hmm. He had to make the strange-looking move knight fd2, but I would say it's a success. The bishop survives, and black slightly weakened his king.
Yeah, it's kind of a strange, unusual position.
Yeah. What should white do? Do you play c3 to keep the center extra safe?
On the other hand, then the b1 knight, where is it going to develop? To
Yeah,
a3, c4, c2?
is not so active. I'd like to play c4, knight c3, but then e5, and I have to
Yeah.
worry about my d4 pawn.
Obviously, c4 is something that you want to go for, but then probably black has a great King's Indian type of setup. e5, d5, knight e7,
Yeah, this.
and then f6
Good
knight
fight for
moves
black.
away and pawn goes to f5.
So I'm voting for c3. Cemento, as Peter Leko likes to call it. Just
But
keep
it
the
doesn't
center.
seem so bad for black, this weakness, h6, g5. Bishop can go to f5 and g6. I think queen d7. Black can develop very nicely.
Yeah, we're just getting started. Looks like a full game ahead. Board full of pieces. I wonder what Magnus is considering here. Maybe knight c3.
What about f4?
Oof. Knight c3 played.
Knight c3 played. Okay, probably e5.
Yeah, also played. Now, do we take it? Because d5 just looks wrong. Knight e7. This pawn is hanging, and the plan you
e4,
mentioned.
but maybe e4. I mean d5, knight e7, e4.
Yeah, but this position isn't black
Knight g6.
in.
No,
Good
black
take.
should be very fine, right? White
Yeah.
doesn't. White is a lot behind in the queenside attack, where b4, c5 is supposed to be the move.
Yeah. No, I'd be surprised if he locked the center.
On the other hand, you have to do something, right?
No, just take, play for squares.
Takes, pawn takes.
Something somewhere. I'm not
Bishop
sure. Knight
b5?
c4, bishop c4, bishop b5 maybe.
Queen e7.
Knight c4 looks artificial.
Yeah, now you're threatening to grab a pawn, right?
That is the plan.
Maybe
Let's
black
see.
should be going e4.
I don't know. It weakens squares, no?
That's how it goes in the King's Indian type of positions.
Yeah.
I mean, what else?
I'm not sure. Even knight takes c5, I would
Knight
consider.
takes e5, I was also considering.
Just to avoid this weakness. I don't know what this is. But first Magnus has to show us what he wants. I would expect him to take. Yeah.
But again, it seems to me that Yan is kind of controlling the opening. He's doing it under control. He has 2 minutes almost more than Magnus. So he's faster for the moment.
He is very fast. D takes e, and yeah, he blitzed out knight takes e5. Now comes the f pawn, f4.
I was kind of sure that eventually at one point of the game he is going to go f4.
So you don't subscribe to this school of thought that says never touch your f pawn.
Nowadays, moving with pawns, the most unexpected ways is the trend.
Yeah, I think G and H are established. F, the jury is still out. What should black do? Knight G6 probably. Yeah,
Knight
what do you-
G6. But what about Knight G4? Let's see what happens on Knight G4. Being active. Is white, if Knight C4, then D5.
So what's the idea? Takes. Rook
Maybe
F3
just rook
looks very
F3.
clumsy. Knight G4
There is
played.
not much of a choice, right? And this
Indeed.
is what happened in the game.
He plays Rook F3. I don't like this F4, Rook F3.
No, as Knight G4, I think it was very strong as a
Yeah.
reply to F4. What about Rook E8? If black is just pushing, attacking on E3, well, Knight F1. Of course, the G4 knight can get in trouble very fast with H3. So
Yeah,
black
I was
has to
wondering,
be,
H is on the board.
yeah.
I was wondering if black can follow up with Knight H5.
And after H3, you go back Knight F6. Or Knight
Takes
G3 first. But Knight G3, Rook G3.
Go back. You must
Takes.
take my pawn.
Grab the pawn.
All right. Yeah, I don't see any.
What is this? Rook F3, Rook G3, Rook G5 in the opening.
They do provide
Okay.
entertainment.
We are already in the middle of the game. Middle game.
Knight of one
but
plate.
maybe actually black should be taking on F4.
If
Or Knight H5, H3, and then EF.
yeah,
Maybe that Knight F5, H3, G takes F4. And now taking on G3. Rook G3, Knight F6.
yeah.
It
Looks
doesn't
playable
seem
for
to be
black.
so dangerous.
Yeah, this looks decent, doesn't it?
Yeah, it doesn't look so deadly dangerous for the moment.
Another option, I'm not sure if we have the time, was after Knight H5 to try to keep this bishop with Bishop E1. Oops, sorry.
Ah, but you know, after H3, can black take on E3? Or that's something...
Knight H5 is on the board in the meantime. Knight
Things
takes.
are happening fast here. Knight takes G3?
Then I have Rook G7, I thought.
Ah, but GF4 was possible.
Yeah.
GF4.
Could work.
Rook f4, knight g3.
G3.
Well, but what else? You suggested bishop e1.
I'm not sure if we have the time, but at least keeping the bishop, trying to push these knights back eventually.
Well, you have to admit that the white pieces are shuffled quite a bit.
I'm also a bit scared if you give some check from b6 that it could be unpleasant.
Well, still nothing concrete threatens, right? Check and king h1.
Oh yeah, it's true. No follow-up.
So h3 or bishop e1 will be the move of the world champion.
Could be other moves, but yeah.
Is there any other move? Any sensible move then?
Important disclaimer. I don't know. It doesn't feel like we have time for bishop c4 or whatever.
Actually, yeah. Well, bishop c4, g takes f4, I guess.
Yeah.
Bishop takes, knight takes, rook takes, knight e5.
Looks very sound for black.
Yeah, it's nice to have a knight on e5 and there is no pawn attacking possibilities. No, this would be great for black.
I agree. Now bishop c4 is pushing it. I don't know. Bishop e1, if at all possible. I'd like to keep this bishop.
What was on h3? What did we decide? How would black continue? Was it possible also to go back to f6, or we just want to grab on a3?
Well, if this works, it's good, no?
Takes. What about rook e3? Hold on. And
rook
bishop
e3, bishop
h5.
h5.
Takes, bishop h5. Okay, this looks good for white.
Yeah. Okay, then it does not work.
No, then it doesn't work. So black has to go back to f6 or at gf or knight g3.
Going back to f6 looks strange. Unless g4 is very...
Well, I think this whole game looks kind of strange
Yeah,
for
it's
the
very
moment.
funny. Bishop h2.
Yeah, that knight on h5 can be in trouble easily. What about g4 now? Rook f2?
2,
Queen d7,
g3 maybe.
f5. No, g3, what you suggested, that is good, I think.
He's played bishop e1.
Bishop e1.
Keeping the bishop. Yeah. Not a very standard position.
Not at all.
f4, rook f3.
Well, gf
right.
seems to be a logical continuation, I guess. But can black go f5? Or I open up too much? After bishop c4, I'd be going bishop e6. Takes, takes, queen d5. Maybe white is good now, right? Queen f6, queen b7.
Or fg.
Or fg and f5. Okay, so this is, I think, important if f5 is not possible, because after bishop c4, king goes away, then bishop f7.
Yan is thinking for minutes and minutes.
gf4, or what else? What about gf4, ef4, queen e7? Yeah, my idea to take and take on e2, exactly.
Is there anything we can do about that?
And if
Maybe
bishop
knight
c4,
g4.
then, well, knight g3, some knight e3 will be coming. But maybe black can just take on g3 and bishop c3 anyway.
I was hoping maybe it's nothing special.
Bishop g4, queen e1, rook e1.
Yeah, now I have to recapture. You take e2, yeah?
Ah, you want some queen d4.
I am not sure if this will work at all.
f6, queen f6. Queen e3. King h1. What else?
Very
Obvious.
pretty.
But what else? Queen e3, king h1. And white is winning.
Totally forced line. But yeah, it all feels very, very critical. So it's not surprising Nepomniachtchi is taking his time here, because you have to calculate these lines now. Let's try again. So GF.
That was a fun line, yeah.
GF.
Takes queen e7, knight g3 you went.
G3. Because black has options here. Knight e3 is a move. I don't know if knight takes f4 makes any sense.
If knight f4, rook f4, queen e3, rook f2. And I think bishop d4, bishop g4. If bishop c3 takes, seems to be great.
Fun is over.
White. Yeah. So black can't go here. So actually knight g3, knight f6 maybe also something to consider, but I don't like it too much. Because even if knight goes to e3, then the bishop is blocked on g7. So let's say take again. Takes. Maybe now knight e3 and knight f5.
He's played your move, by the way, f5.
Wow. But what does he have in mind on bishop c4? King f8? No. It's,
maybe.
That doesn't look funny, no.
Bishop c4
I doubt it.
out.
No way. You king f8, you play really in your full desperation.
Magnus looked a little bit surprised after f5. Bishop c4.
Probably he's giving up some pawns with bishop e6, I think.
Yeah, because king h8, bishop f7 picks up material. King f8. Okay, it's very desperate.
Takes, queen d5, maybe queen e8. So to put pressure on the e3.
Yeah, bishop e6 is on the board. Bishop takes, rook takes.
No, I doubt that if not queen d5. Actually, fg5 is also possible.
And then if
but queen
takes,
d5 is the most tempting, right?
Yeah. All right, let's try this. Queen e8, queen b7 feels...
No, I think queen b7, I'm
risky.
fine. I go gf or whatever. I mean, you have a pin. Your bishop can be under attack on e1. If fg, then...
Just hg.
Not easy. Simply a little bit too many pawns of mine are hanging.
Yeah, at some point black needs to
This
play
is crazy
c6.
for black.
Oh, yeah. It's hard to believe.
But actually after queen d5, queen f6, also fg5. Not
Yeah.
even queen b7, right?
Magnus does not play queen d5. He plays h3.
But what is the move that we blunder?
Maybe just thinks h3 is good, because after knight f6 he has f3 and rook f5.
It's
without
even
any
better,
adventures.
safer. Ah, so he just wants to go knight f6, fg, and rook f5.
Fair enough.
True.
F5 was a strange decision for Yan, or maybe he thought he was in trouble already. But now it seems like it's gone wrong.
Yeah, it seems like it's very, but on his face, you don't feel that anything really went wrong.
Not yet. Sometimes it comes a little delayed with him. Like,
No, but instead of
Let's-
F5, things were not bad at all.
no, I agree. Like it's a mess, but it didn't feel desperate.
Because F5, in principle, I like if we are not losing on the spot after that.
Yep.
What can he do after H3? Probably he has to give up a piece in some way.
Let's
If
try
GF4,
GF.
HG, F takes G4, Rook F4, right?
Queen D5 also exists, but yeah, this
Ah, even that.
is enough. Just looks winning for white. 2 pieces for the rook. Black king
Yeah,
is
now
very open.
G3 comes. I mean, there is not much counterplay for black.
And Yan also taking a lot of time for Yan standards. There's 5.5 minutes left.
What about bishop C3? I hate it, but let's try.
We're out of good
Bishop takes
options.
C3, knight F6. At
FG.
least there is a potential E4 beautiful square for the knight. Takes,
Like
no,
a small
but it
consolation.
looks, yeah, but it's, but the small consolation is that black doesn't have to suffer long. He can resign faster. Oops, this is the position we have after in the game. FG, Rook F5, Bishop H6. Oh,
It's almost as desperate, no? Pawn down, weaker king. Knight is on H5.
well, it's a game over practically, right?
Yeah, or bad at least.
But white still has to make good moves, which most of the time Magnus is not missing these kind of games, right? He just plays the most painful for the opponent.
Making good moves is his main skill.
Yeah, yeah, Queen F3, I like it a lot.
I was wondering if Knight G7, because the rook all of a sudden is a little clumsy.
Rook B5.
Yeah. Maybe it's just fine. Just looks funny.
Knight D5? Or Knight D5 is a blunder? No. But maybe Queen F3 is not the best. Maybe there is something better, like Knight
Yes, rook down,
D5.
retreat, and Knight D5.
And then the bishop comes to C3.
It's just a very bad position for black. Magnus goes G4.
G4.
Knight G7, Rook F3.
Rook F3 and then Knight G3.
Yeah, he's making sure
And
there's no
yeah,
G4.
he wants to make sure that Yan is not thinking about any kind of G4 and activity.
Exactly. He's trying to dominate both these pieces.
Queen D7, Knight G3.
Yeah. Well played. Now, last piece he needs is this A1 rook. So I don't know, Queen D3, bishop out of
Well,
the way.
still the bishop on E1 is somewhat strange. But yeah, Queen D3, Bishop D2, Rook F1. That seems to be...
Actually, I like the idea to just exchange this knight.
And bishop on C3. The bishop C3 would be appealing, right?
Exactly. Okay, 8. We could try it now. I guess C6.
Queen D3.
Queen goes somewhere. Then the pieces
Yeah, I mean,
come.
well, knight on g7, bishop on h6.
This is old strategy. It's okay to exchange your opponent's good pieces. Leave him with the bad ones.
Well, let's see how Yan will be fighting and looking for some counter chances. Maybe some knight maneuver goes to h7, knight f8, knight g6. I know it's a long journey.
Yeah. Not the time.
But at least then one of his knights would be standing. Excellent.
For bigger dreams. Yeah. No. It's impressive how good Magnus is also in these first games. Sometimes it can take the drama a bit out of these matches. If he just delivers a blow in game number 1 already, it's such an uphill battle to climb back into the game, which some people have done, like Nepomniachtchi yesterday. But
yes,
he is very dominant, Mr. Carlsen.
And look at this, just in 3 moves, he goes bishop f2, e4, knight d5, and all his pieces are stands excellent.
Making it look easy.
Yeah. Yeah. He just feels it so much, where the pieces should be going, and he's doing it in a fraction.
Also, this rook is now free to do whatever it feels like. No, it's very nicely played. I'm not sure.
Yeah, and let's face it, many of the players have the problem that win a winning position or convert a serious advantage to win is an extremely important skill, which very few has, I think.
Were you good at it? You were good at converting usually, no?
Generally, yes, but of course I also have some small collection of regrets.
Everyone has.
And the problem is when you're destroying a great position, it's not only that you're destroying your mood and your game, but it affects you on the next game and sometimes even to the rest of the tournament. So it's not only that, okay, one game, nothing happened, fine, next day another one, or in half an hour another one, but oops, game over.
And
no surprise, this was so powerful.
Position,
bishop f2, e4, knight d5, wow.
Just completely dominating the black pieces. He had seen enough.
Well, this was a great game by Magnus, but it was a pity that Yan played f5 because he could make a great, interesting game if he's somehow doing. We were discussing queen e, not queen e7.
GF and then
takes and queen e7. Yeah.
Many options. I'd be very curious actually what our computer friends are telling us.
But now Sasha is here. Welcome.
Yeah, hi Judith, hi Yan. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. So, what is the current position?
The game is over.
It's over.
Yeah, but we have some questions to you.
I mean, this resignation shows a lot of respect from Yan to Magnus. I think with Anish, he would just start playing in such position.
Well, and I think also frustration towards himself, because look at the position he had. After move 15, everything was upside down.
Yeah, okay. Okay, knight h5 is a mistake already. After this, black is in trouble already.
Okay.
Only knight h7. And, okay, it says that it's slightly better for black, but I think it's very unclear. And after knight h5, bishop e1, actually the only way is to play gf, ef, queen e7 to attack.
Okay, this is what we were analyzing.
And now h3 is interesting, he says. Bishop c3, bishop c3, queen e2, queen d4, knight, I think, gf6, knight g3, c5, queen take d6, and so on, and it's slightly better for white in the end. But okay, you cannot criticize for not finding this.
No, but f5 was a pity because practically after f5 everything is collapsing and it's not even too difficult, I guess.
Yeah,
right?
maybe he simply missed
Something went
bishop
wrong.
c4 check because it's okay. I mean, it would be completely pointless unless king h8, bishop f7, right? I think he just missed this resource. So yeah, I mean, you can say huge mistake by Nepomniachtchi, but really, like knight h5 is very tempting, very, I mean, the most obvious move, right? But already it's a serious mistake, and after that, you have to be extremely precise. So yeah, it happens sometimes.
The London system. Can you take credit, Alexander, for bringing back the London system?
No, okay, like a little bit, but mostly it's Kamsky, I would say.
Right. All right, that was faster than expected. Let's bring in Tanya to tell us how the outside world feels.
Yeah, and just like all of us, I think everybody was taken aback and quite shocked by Yan's decision to go f5 in that position, a position where seemingly everything is normal. And I was listening to Sasha, perhaps yes, knight h7 was better, but knight h5, the computer still doesn't feel that is too bad. And I just quickly want to show a cute little draw I found with the help of an engine, of course. If you can just have that up after knight h5. And as was pointed out, the gf4 was the correct move instead of f5. Let's go on. So knight h5, bishop e1, gf4, and here queen e7 is possible, but queen f6 is also an interesting idea. And the point is that after h3, the knight isn't trapped because you've got queen d4 check coming in. But instead of h3, so after let's just go on with that line a little bit. After h3, queen d4 check, and if you go king h1, black's got the idea of taking on d1 and then bishop c3, picking up the bishop on e2. That's right. But instead of playing h3, white can go king h1 in that position, and I thought this was a really cute little trick. After king h1, queen d4, offering the exchange because perhaps you don't want to give your dark squared bishop so quickly on c3. And now after rook d3, the best line that the computer suggests is to go queen f2, rook f3, queen d4, rook d3, queen f2, and a possible draw right there. Of course, a lot of different things could be done, but this is one of the computer stuff variation that I found quite fascinating. Definitely not the kind of start that Yan was looking for in game one in a must-win demand match situation, starting with the black pieces. I think a very interesting opening choice by the world champion, a completely different approach going into game two, something that Judith and Yan were both discussing about what we're going to see. And it'll be very interesting to find out, I think, how it is that Magnus decides on these different opening choices. I think for today, the approach was perhaps to keep it a bit more solid. I really like how Yan played, trying to create chances in a system that is considered a little harder to complicate with the kind of play that Yan showed, but f5 was very disappointing, and I think things just fell apart really quick. The good news is that Yan will be playing with the white pieces in the next round, which means we could potentially have another knight of rook g1, and we've seen some interesting positions come out of that. Let's take a look at the conversations that we're having with all of you on Twitter. A lot of them, a lot of fun. Let's bring the first one up. So we had Chess Master writing in with new episode of the thriller Magnus versus Yan coming soon. Let's play this little video that we got sent.
Oh, I want something just like this. Oh, I want something just like this.
And there we see in chess the different emotions, the different brutality of the game that is there, just seriousness, frustration, difficult moments. But I think one of the biggest things right now, which Yan is perhaps struggling with, is tiredness. I think the events format has been so brutal. He's gone straight into the finals without any break in the middle like Magnus got. And I think it's just a very, very difficult format to play in. And this is something that Yan mentioned himself, that it's been difficult to recover, and rest has been the only kind of preparation that he's been doing. And I wonder if that's, moves like F5 are something that make you wonder if it's just the tiredness getting to the player. Let's move on to our next tweet. We had Jürgen writing in his take on a famous football quote, I think by Gary Lineker, and he says, "Chess is a simple game. Two people move the pieces for 30 minutes, and at the end, Magnus Carlsen always wins." Yes, it does appear to be the case these days. Well, not just these days, even on over-the-board chess, we've seen Magnus Carlsen have a dominating presence over the last couple of years, especially. And now in this online format, we are down to the 4th event of the Magnus Carlsen Chess Tour. He's already won 2 of them. Looks like he's on his way to win the 3rd one as well. He's shown, I think this event has, in terms of the score, been absolutely fantastic for Magnus. He hasn't lost a single match so far, which takes it up to 12 match victories. It's absolutely insane. And it also reminds me of something that I saw on a stream yesterday. It was Anish and Temur and Vidit, and they were all talking about it, and I caught a little bit of that. And Anish made a very interesting comment, and I want to ask Sasha and Judith about this, that I think we're going to have liftoff soon, but let's see if we can get this in, that Anish said that chess has a lot of problems, but one of the big problems is that Magnus Carlsen is winning everything. And that's just a little depressing. Sasha, Judith, what's your take on that?
No, I think it's not a problem at all. There are different problems in chess that you have to be quite competent to enjoy watching it. This is, I think, the main problem with chess.
But Sasha, don't you feel that when you know that there is one player who's far ahead of the rest, and almost feels like every tournament that he's playing in is like a race to the 2nd place for most of the other participants? Could that take away a little bit of motivation and a little bit of motivation mostly for these other players?
No. First of all, he doesn't win every tournament. He lost to Nakamura in semifinals a couple tournaments ago, so that's not the case. And regarding the motivation, okay, I guess I would prefer if he was not playing at all, but it's only my problem, not his.
Fair enough. We do have liftoff, so I'm going to hand it over to Sasha, Judith, and Yan to take us through game 2. Yan Nepomniachtchi playing catch-up in this 2nd set of the finals.
So let's see how it's starting. It's a Sicilian. I think maybe Yan is not back yet. Can we get the board?
I think we are having knight of h3 already, so...
Yeah. So it's h3 Najdorf. Instead of the rook g1, which was played yesterday.
Yeah, but he played h3 in Blitz yesterday also.
The debate continues.
Yeah, this is what I was waiting for.
Our dream of having some Berlins did not materialize.
Well, especially after Magnus won his first game, why should he play and go for solid? But
especially after he won his first game, he should play Berlin, no?
Well, I think generally speaking, probably he decided it that he's going to go and continue playing Najdorf, right? So whatever the result is going to be.
Is this his weird line where they put the knight on f8?
Yeah, it's, for example, it's a game Carlsen Ganguly from Isle of Man last year. Magnus played it with white. A4, knight f8, and so on. Or maybe it's a4. Yeah, knight f8. Yeah. Then there is there are many moves. It's very strange position. Yeah, bishop c4 is one of them.
What goes where? Knight g6, knight h7?
No, I think bishop e6, and then even sometimes maybe this knight goes to d7. I don't know. It's a very extremely strange position.
It is extremely strange. I think I see it for the first time that this pawns on g4 when your knight is on b3 and knight on f8. Knight g6 happened.
Looks like a good position for Magnus stylistically. It's some squares to target. Usually doesn't mind the d5 weakness so much.
Yeah, and I guess black just wants to castle, and then if white castles, black just plays b5 and sacrifices.
But white should be going sometime g5, no?
Maybe. Okay, so he played queen e2 already, yeah? So you want castle g5, yeah?
I don't know, maybe a5 I would also consider, so you don't think about this kind of tricky tactical v5s.
a5. Okay.
Bishop e6. I don't know, is this a positional or a tactical position?
Both. Magnus thinking.
Yes, because it's tricky to castle immediately, right? You can go bishop e6, why not? Or even knight h7. That is maybe too much. Just knight d5.
This becomes a problem. Yeah.
No, knight h7, yeah, that's too much to go away from the center. But bishop e6 makes sense.
Then maybe I will castle.
He's gone his own way. Oh, surprising moves. Bishop d7.
Bishop d7.
And f3.
Really, he wants to go b5.
And f3 played instantly, so maybe Yan analyzed this move.
And he wants to go h4, I guess.
Yeah, on one hand, yes, but also h4 before white castle doesn't do much because g5, hg, and rook is not protected.
Yeah, but if you go h4, then black will probably not castle short.
Ah, yeah, this is true. Yeah. No, I think it's okay position if you need to win with white. I mean, it's completely random. So.
Rook c8 played. Let's see. If he castles into b5. Maybe now b5 is not so scary anymore with the rook. Leaving the a file.
But maybe white just wants to go queen c7.
Yep.
Yeah, queen c7, I guess, I don't know, maybe knight d2. No, but I would prefer to have h4, maybe queen c7, knight d2.
Yeah, it's kind of scary for me to castle long. There actually, after long castle, queen c7, knight d2, b5 maybe works.
Yes.
Takes knight b5, queen a5. I'm not sure I want to be white.
Yeah, also maybe bishop take b5, yeah, not knight b5 to exchange them. But anyways, he agrees with us.
But he
and
played
plays
h4.
Yeah. And stands up.
It's about time.
And what about queen c7 anyway? What does white want to go? Knight d2?
I would probably play knight d2, yeah.
It's the only move, right? There is not much of a choice.
Bishop d5 might be an option.
The c2 is hanging.
Now yes. Yeah. So knight d2, I guess. Yeah. And actually, like positionally, this knight is good on d2. Maybe I will be able to play bishop b3, knight c4.
Yes, that's
That will be
another
fantastic.
story. That's
Yeah.
true.
So let's say bishop e6 maybe now. Then maybe knight bishop d3 anyway. I don't know. I have no zero understanding of this position. Knight d7,
d7.
queen f2 maybe. And now maybe queen d8 back. I don't know. Okay, let's see what they do.
It is impressive they managed to produce very fresh random positions after 12, 13 moves all the time.
And knight h7, okay, now I thought maybe long castle makes sense, because you cannot take with bishop, and if you take with knight, it's a bit misplaced, and maybe I can play some, I don't know, even rook take h4, but I think it's not good. But some, I don't know, maybe king b1 to because if knight d5, then bishop g5, I thought. So maybe.
But this looks very nice for white, even this way. Can't we white play f4 and open up?
F4, yes. F4, EF4?
Maybe even knight f4. But at first I thought about bishop f4.
Yeah, but anyway, I'm pretty sure white should sacrifice this pawn. It looks much.
Yeah, interesting that Yan is hesitating.
Maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, castle is so inviting.
Yeah, but also maybe even castle and knight h4, king b1. So now knight d5 is a real threat, and bishop g5 allows taking on d6.
The castle definitely would be the move, I think.
Okay, maybe.
But queen c7 now first.
Okay, knight d2.
Yeah, knight left the control over the d5 square by playing knight h7.
Yeah, but still it's very complicated. Maybe bishop e6 here. What's going on? Bishop e6. Maybe take on g5.
But black can just take it.
Yeah, take. Okay, I will take.
So
d5.
maybe h5. On h5, you wanted to go f4?
I don't know what I want. Just maybe h5. Okay, at least now I blocked this knight. No, I mean g5, h5. Yeah.
Yeah.
No. Again, no.
On g5 with black
G5,
playing
you want to
h5.
go h5.
Maybe f4, e4. Okay, so he plays h5. Not he doesn't sacrifice.
He played h5, bishop h4 check.
Keeping the pawn. I like it.
Will he take rook takes h4?
But and queen takes bishop f2, and a1 is protected.
For sure he's gonna go. I bet on rook h4.
So take, so okay, let's say knight has to
And long
take.
castle.
Long castle.
Or knight d5. That's also tempting, but let's say long castle, queen c7. But that h4 knight will not easily go out of.
No, no, maybe knight take f3, or is it losing instead of queen c7?
Knight d5. But rook d6 is also what was.
Knight d5, maybe I can castle.
Actually, maybe even bishop g4 you had.
Nepomniachtchi in deep thought.
Ah,
Bishop h4.
also rook take h4, maybe there is knight. No, knight f4. Ah, maybe there is.
Too brilliant.
But why not?
Wow, queen h4.
Very nice.
But you're, wow.
But even maybe not queen h4, but simply rook c4.
Oh, this is also hang.
I don't know, but queen, yeah.
Wow, knight f4, beautiful.
Wow. The bishop takes, queen takes, there's no more. Bishop f2. So this
Probably
looks good.
knight f4 is killing.
That's a fantastic trick.
Okay, so maybe after all, after bishop h4, king d2? Or f1, I don't know, but white has to go out.
They probably both spotted this, no? Or if not, rook h4 would already be on the board.
Yeah.
So bishop f2.
No, I think he,
played it.
no, he plays it.
Yeah.
And now let's see on his face when knight f4 appears. Let's see.
Magnus looks surprised, or made a bit of a face at least. He's thinking, no?
Okay, but he's not thinking about position. He's thinking about Vegas and Mirage.
Will be a while till people can go back to Vegas, no?
Knight
Have you
f4
been to
very
Vegas,
powerful.
Alexander?
What?
Have you been to Vegas?
Yes, terrible city. I mean, at least at the summer. The summer it's terrible because it's plus 40, you know, without sun, and when on the sun it's like plus 50 or more.
Yeah, I spent 1 month there in August. I didn't enjoy it. It's a bit warm.
Yeah, but Judith, you were there in the World Championship, right?
Yes,
It was,
in 99.
but it was held at some normal time of year for Las Vegas, right? Or was it summer? as well?
I don't know exactly, but it was damn hot. It was very hot. I think it was in the summer sometime. Maybe.
Okay.
And I was there, fortunately, quite a long time.
And Magnus did not go for this knight f4. He went knight takes h4, while we are being joined by the legend. Anatoly Karpov is here. Welcome.
Yeah. Hello.
Hi.
Good evening, Anatoly.
Hi.
Welcome.
What is happening today?
We
Could
had
you
some
explain to us
action here.
why not knight f4 1 move ago?
So bishop h4 check was played in this strange position, rook h4, and we were expecting this trick. Alexander pointed out knight to f4, but it didn't
Yeah.
happen.
Yeah, very important. Yes, just to take. And Magnus took with the knight on h4.
Yeah, he recaptured.
Yes, then long castle.
And this is what they have.
Yeah, this we also discussed some time ago, and we thought knight take f3 is what maybe black should play.
Knight takes f3. And then
And then we don't know.
rook
Maybe
ta-
rook take d6, yeah, and we,
Yes, yes,
we
why
have
not?
no idea. Yes, we have no idea. It's too complicated.
Knight c5 is threatening, yeah?
And what about queen c7?
Queen c7, bishop f7 check.
Takes.
Queen takes.
Knight f6.
Knight f6, yes, clear. And then?
But we are asking you what's that?
Bishop c5 or what?
I mean, we are sacrificing easily Jan's pieces. And then we say, okay, let's go back.
Yes.
Bishop Bishop
Bishop
g4, you
g4,
will be grabbing rook f6. Yeah.
Okay, so bishop e6, yeah, looks normal.
Bishop e6. So knight d5, yeah?
No, take.
Take, yeah.
Rook d8.
Rook d8. And then rook b6.
King, yeah, d6. If king g8, d6.
d6.
Okay. Yeah.
Well, queen d7 is possible. Go for the pawn on g4.
How?
Well, after d6.
Here, then rook takes b7.
Okay, queen g4 anyway.
Queen takes, and d7.
Yeah, this was...
And then
This is
bishop
not
d7, knight c5.
Yeah.
We'll briefly bring in Tanya, who can explain to us what happened, what would happen after knight to f4. Tanya, please let us know.
Yeah, in a very interesting position here and a very critical moment, and we saw both the players taking their time. It turns out that they perhaps saw more than what all of us did. Knight f4 looks very, very tempting and a stunning spot by Sasha, but here the move queen f2 does work for white, at least according to the engines. The point is that knight g2 check you don't want to play instantly because white just simply grabs it, and after bishop f2 is doing well. But if queen h4 first, white takes on h4, queen h4, knight g2 check, king f2, knight takes h4, and here knight a5. A move like bishop c6 defending the b7 pawn, and now white can continue with rook h1. The knight on g5 is quite terrible, so you've got to play g5, and white can just...
No. Why rook h1? King g3.
And that would also lead to g5.
Yes, yeah.
So the point of rook h1, I think, is to take on h6 after the trades of the pawn on g6. And actually, I think, Anatoly, you're the best person to ask this because the computer gives this as better for white. Do you think that white also has a lot of compensation here?
A lot of compensation, I wouldn't say, but probably enough to keep equality.
All right, fair enough. And this is what the engine gives as slightly better for white. Perhaps this is what Magnus did see and decided to not go for this line.
But one second, can you also tell us?
Knight h2, f8, exchanging rooks. Because if white could keep rooks, then white has some pressure. But after this, what to do? Or knight f6 maybe. Doesn't matter. Okay, take with the knight.
Yeah, surprising white should be better here.
And here white can go for a plan with b4. And this is a very difficult position really to understand what's going on, I think, for a lot of us. But surprisingly, the engine loves it for white.
No, then knight e6.
b5.
Take. Bishop d7.
Knight b7.
No, bishop on
That's pretty.
Okay.
Computers.
King d7.
Knight
King d7, knight d5 check.
This is what the engines do to us.
Knight e6 is not good then. Knight e6 is not good.
It's hard to argue with the engine, but that's important for context. Let's go back to the game where knight takes f3 has been played and rook takes d6. So it's just as complicated.
Yeah. And maybe after queen c7, we don't need to play bishop takes f7. Maybe
But bishop c5.
Yeah, bishop c5 maybe.
Maybe that's why I played queen e7 to avoid this bishop c5.
Yeah.
Now we can take.
Yeah, but then queen d3 probably.
Knight d4 maybe then.
Knight d4. Yeah, unpleasant. Rook b6. Probably only move.
No, okay, but here black is definitely fine. Bishop c6 maybe.
Are you sure? Then we take on d4.
Take castle.
Queen takes. Okay, but knight d5.
Queen h4 maybe.
Breaking almost mate.
Just almost. Oh, yeah.
Yes. So king b1 only move.
f8.
Then probably bishop d3.
Take g4.
Take g4, yes.
Nepomniachtchi is still thinking after queen e7.
What about rook b6?
Rook b6 now.
Directly,
Yeah. Probably better. Then knight d5 is coming.
Actually, queen d3 was not even possible, I think, because of rook c4.
Rook c4, rook d7.
Yeah, but then queen d7, queen f4, castle.
Rook
So
b6.
white has to move his rook to b6 or to d1.
Yeah.
Let's
No,
for
rook
this.
is better, yeah.
Because if, yeah, what can black do now? Knight d4 anyway, or bishop takes g4?
Probably.
What
No,
about bishop takes g4? Knight d5?
d5.
This is very dangerous for black. Queen d7, bishop c5.
No, I think black has to counterattack. Queen h4 now.
Where? Here.
Here, some queen h1 now. Let's see.
Yeah, it would be better. for
There
white
is
to
bishop
have
b5. No, bishop b5. No.
Bishop d7 back.
Uh-huh.
No,
Okay,
then
so
no, then you take simply. What is? Queen takes, king f8, and then
But
queen
why
b2,
not bishop d7?
b4 check. Oh, bishop c5 check, knight e7 check, yeah. And
no, bishop d7. That's the problem.
bishop d7. But what is it?
Take and bishop d7.
Queen takes f3.
No. Take b5 and then bishop d7.
Yes.
Helps.
Another story. Yeah.
And it's on the board. Rook b6, bishop takes g4. Nepomniachtchi 6.5 minutes, Carlsen 4.5.
Yeah, queen h4 is quite powerful on knight d5.
But there must be something for white. It doesn't look like hopeless position.
Yeah, agree.
What about bishop d5?
Yes, I just wanted to say it. Bishop d5 is maybe.
Okay, I castle every time I can.
Some kind of rook g6 will be in there. Not yet. Maybe bishop h6. No, but
At
that's
least
not.
you gave us a warning.
No, but I think that's bad. Just takes rook g6, rook g4, knight g5. Black is just an exchange up. Or the other knight.
Oh, so.
Not both.
Okay. Both possible.
So this is not good.
No, that's not good.
Okay, so after castle, the b7 has to be taken. Rook b7.
Rook
Now
b7.
comes queen h4 again, no?
Well, maybe just king b1.
Mm-hmm.
Do we need this? No, queen h1 is not threat. Queen d1.
But yeah, queen e1 is the problem.
What do you mean? No, but ending is not clear because we take this pawn on e6.
Well, it still takes time.
Oh, this is a threat and unpleasant. Probably we need to play queen f1 or bishop f2.
But it doesn't seem to be good for white. Knight f6. It just seems to be an exchange down.
Yes, yes.
If
Also-
black can castle.
Yeah. No, there must be something. I don't know. Some.
Some tricks.
Queen g2. No.
Yeah,
No,
but even a queen g.
Knight a5 or what? No,
Knight
Knight
a5 is
a5.
interesting. But anyway, probably just castles.
He has played bishop to d5 after a lot of thought.
he played
Yeah, he went bishop d5.
and then so castle. Yeah.
That's what we expect.
Maybe castle.
Maybe
bishop-
now queen g2. Maybe now queen g2.
Yes. So this is
Queen h4.
Rook g6.
queen h4.
Knight queen e1 somewhere.
Knight
But
d1.
maybe okay. So rook g6. Okay. Rook g6 also knight g5 simply. Yeah, there is no point.
Yeah.
Like just without queen e1 even. Yeah, just knight h g5 and black blocks everything. Yeah.
It's all on the board. Castle's queen g2 has been played.
I don't know. Somehow, the more we look at it, the more I have the feeling that white is lost already.
Yeah.
Yes, it seems so.
Queen h4 also played.
Yeah, bishop f2 only move now, probably.
But then queen h5.
Yeah, yeah. Then take on b7 and so.
But can't we take bishop h6 instead of bishop f2?
Bishop h6.
But Magnussen can play what you suggest earlier, just to take king h8, then queen e1 check, and some knight to g5. Maybe.
Yeah. True.
That's quite similar. But
True.
But what?
It's on g takes
not
h6.
just g8, yeah.
Rook
Also
g6,
queen
king
e1
h8. Rook g4, queen e1, knight d1, knight g5. And actually, the white queen, instead of e7, it's on e1 already.
This.
Game over. Sorry to bring the bad news.
He's played rook g6 and Carlsen played knight g5 directly.
What do you mean over? Did he resign already?
No.
Not yet, but
No, but then bishop f2.
queen h5.
This is on the board. And bishop f2, not yet. He wants to take you.
No, this is over. No chance.
No tricks, no? These knights do nothing.
Well, even one knight maybe would not be enough on f6. Yeah,
Such a
things went
complicated
wrong
game
for
again.
white.
Magnus making it look easy, but what a mess that was.
I think a flawless game by Magnus. In a very complicated position, just flawless play.
King b1 plate.
Yeah, and Jan's face, you can see that it's written everything on it. Forward.
No, then rook g6 was absolutely useless.
Well, it's not that we had to so much better. It's just probably also losing time.
To play
black in-
king b1, then to play king b1 immediately.
Yes, of course, but I'm sure he just missed knight g5 as I did, because I was also suggesting this knight rook g6 and missed knight g5, and he as well.
So Carlsen up 1-0 already with another very good position here. And 2-0 would be tough lead to come back from.
So now bishop h5 or queen e1 check or queen h5, any move, almost.
Yeah, there's no threats.
Bishop e6. He wants to go for the rook.
Even this, yeah.
If takes, how do you recapture?
f6.
No, but why this? Why not knight takes e6?
Because after f3, he doesn't let knight d5. He doesn't allow anything.
Rook g4.
That's how Magnus is doing things. Just you have some hope and you think that there's some small chance.
d5 also he covers.
Yeah, no knight d5, no dreams, no nothing.
Okay. Rook takes e6, getting rid of this rook. Fe.
Well, rook c3 he will be taking, I guess.
Queen e1, it's all blitzed out. Bishop c1.
Of course, rook c3.
Rook c3.
Knight takes e4. Oh, what? No, then
Queen c3 simply.
No, bishop
h4.
Yeah. No,
it's
probably
on the board.
Not necessary. Is it on the board?
Yeah, takes, bishop h6, they're blitzing.
Yeah, rook f7.
Stopping the checkmate.
Yeah, they played this sequence of moves incredibly fast. Just like boom, boom, boom.
It didn't look so obvious. They were all forced.
Yes.
Bishop c1 is the only move, probably.
Played as well.
Yes, queen f5, yeah, or king h7. Probably king h7 better.
I like queen f5, e4.
Yeah, it's good.
Done.
He heard you. We do h6, I guess.
If h6, would you play g5 or g6?
g5. G5.
Yeah, me too.
Queen e2 played. What can we do? Magnus just wins everything.
Yesterday he had a tough day. Today, for the moment, he's not having on results too difficult. But he made incredible good technique, extremely good technique.
Also here, rook c7 is probably a good move. Yeah? I was going to say, if we take the pawn, is there some hope still?
No, probably.
Practically. No, I would say sometimes he plays so good, it feels like he is cheating.
We don't think he is, though. He's just good.
No.
No, he plays incredible, powerful moves.
So
I mean, the game before, he made this e4, bishop f2, knight d5. I just watched it with amazement. Incredible.
Yeah, this
Yeah, I
sequence.
mean, it's clear that he's better and much better, but suddenly 3 moves and full control, full domination. So king b2.
I'm just wondering if he relaxed a little too early here, and now
Yeah, actually a6. It's certainly not so simple. But you know what? Maybe
No, but
queen
E4,
h3.
E4, what to do after?
On what?
E4.
E4, queen a6, queen e5, right?
How to defend on C3?
won't be easy.
Maybe king b1, and if you take, I take on e6 with a check.
And queen e4. Or with check queen e4.
Yeah.
No, this is a draw.
B1 is good move. Yeah.
Carlsen played queen back to e8.
Took on h5 and queen e8.
Takes.
But actually, white has now a little chance.
No, now a5. A5. Oh, queen d3. Queen d3.
Queen c6.
Queen c6.
Queen d8, king h7.
Actually, the position is a bit symmetrical. Just white has a bishop and black has a rook. So
The white pass pawn, the a pawn, feels more annoying than this e pawn. It's well controlled.
no, e pawn I'm not afraid of. I'm afraid of g pawn. If queens will be exchanged, then g just basically costs a bishop for white automatically.
Queen b5, offering the exchange of queens.
Yeah, queen c6, c4. So if queen takes c4, then queen 8 and perpetual at least. Yeah, perpetual.
Yeah.
So a nice trick.
It's on the board.
Yeah, but I will never find it. I just saw that he played it.
Very nice try.
King f7, c5.
c5.
Okay. If knight d4, maybe check and bishop e3.
Knight d4 played.
No, bishop e3 immediately.
But queen is under attack.
Ah, queen is under attack.
Queen f1 check, where do you go?
But even king e8.
Queen
Okay,
h3.
bishop e3. Okay.
Queen h3.
Queen takes a4, right? Though I don't know, queen h8, king f7, queen h5.
Yeah. King g8.
Yeah.
Queen e5. Queen e5, rook b7. Rook b7 winning.
Well, yeah.
Rook b3. Rook b3 checks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bishop e3 played. But now queen a4.
Yeah, this a pawn was important.
And it's gone.
Yeah, this is over. And then rook b7 again. Take. Queen f4.
Rook b7.
He went back. He went queen d7.
Yeah, also good.
Queen e5.
King e5, rook b7.
King b1. King c1. D3.
D3.
Knight D4.
Knight D4. Rook B4. Then C3.
Not over yet.
Not yet.
Nepomniachtchi is down to 15 seconds after rook b7. Carlsen still has almost 2 minutes. And he plays queen to e4.
But now queen d5.
Mm-hmm.
Not sure what he wants.
So then he must take.
Queen D5, Queen G6.
Yeah, but I control h5, so...
Rook f7. And that's all.
Yeah.
Still
Okay, it's time for Russian hackers to attack internet in Norway. Last hope. Come on.
Rook B8 was played.
Queen e5.
Queen e5, yeah.
Yan doesn't need help yet. He's still bothering Magnus.
Rook b4.
Yeah, that happened. Queen e4 back.
Then
Now Queen D5 will come. Yeah.
Did come.
yeah. Played.
Yep.
Queen g6, rook b8. Or even queen. Ah, yes, rook b8.
Queen G4.
Queen g4.
No, actually, Yan is fighting well. He's keep on moving, not giving up so easily at all.
No, I keep thinking how hard he is to beat. He finds so many resources, never collapses. It's a very impressive fight. Rook to c4.
Yeah, d3 is threat.
So what do we do? Queen g6?
Queen g6. Queen f4.
Yeah, he wants to give checks on B8, H2.
But e5?
No, but e5.
E5, Queen F5.
Hopes for new checks here.
I don't know. I don't like this rook on c4. I mean, why do you weaken your king? Put rook to c4. What's the
So he went back.
He agrees. He's going back. Queen g4, repeating the position. Queen f5.
Oh, Queen H4, Queen C2.
But then c6 in the end.
Yeah.
King F7.
Queen h4
And
played.
Queen H4 on the board.
Is this a trap or?
Trap. Ah, you mean with white? No, but there
He's
is no
provoking
trap.
Queen c2, I'm wondering. But if it wins, he's probably not. I guess other moves are possible. Queen f6 or whatever.
Yeah, he likes this c4 for the rook.
No, but what?
Strange.
What?
Ah, he
Ah,
went
rook
with
C4.
c4. Check. Wow.
Queen D8. Check.
So knight d4. Queen c2.
Again. There's not that many checks here. Queen G3. Where do you go?
King F6, Queen H4, King F7.
That's it.
Queen H2. He will not give up, don't worry.
No.
Queen H2,
Knight
D5.
Knight D4 played.
Then
This is finally happening.
Queen C2 check. Wins immediately.
No, he still
Queen
doesn't like it.
E5.
Mhm.
This
He
is
didn't go.
strange, no?
Why?
Now the game continues.
And game continues, yes.
No, I would say not continues, but begins. The game begins. No, I think Magnus is mad at himself now.
So Queen D7 check.
No, but now it's there are some chances for Yan.
Yes. Queen D7 check. What?
But
Yeah.
then King G6.
King F6, King
Check.
G6.
Okay, or maybe F6 first, then
But-
Queen D8, G6, and D8, H7. So there is no.
What?
No, if
And King.
C3, Rook C5,
Mm-hmm.
Queen D8
check,
check.
King G6. King H7.
Yeah. He controls H5 with 2 pieces.
Queen D8 back.
Trying to go to H4. Rook D5.
Yeah.
Check King G8.
King G8. Queen E7.
G4. How do you play with
Rook
black
D4.
in such a position? Do you always calculate until there's no more checks, or what's the way to make progress?
I think I just put the pieces so there are 0 checks, so I don't have to calculate.
Right.
Now E5 will come
Tough.
eventually.
Yeah, I'm sure
E5?
now some Queen F2 must win, Queen F2, Queen F1.
King F7. 0 checks, your rule.
Yeah, exactly.
Knight F3. There will be some check coming. No, Queen G5. Queen F5 would be the
Да.
Now black has some checks.
Все нормально?
Now Queen G1 must win.
King D3.
Yeah, I don't see how, but must.
Check on G1, King D3, Queen F1, King E3. Queen E1, let's say. King D3, Rook D2, King C4, Queen F1, King C5.
The journey continues. So they have this. Oof.
So G5.
Only 1 check.
Yeah,
Queen
G5 is a
C8.
good move.
Queen
Queen
C8.
H8. Queen C8.
Queen C8, then Queen E1.
Then Queen
check.
F2. Queen
Okay.
F2, King D3, Rook D2, King
and Rook
C4,
D4.
Queen D4.
Ah,
Rook D4, yeah.
bravo.
He played
What
Queen
about Queen
F2,
H8?
King
What
D3,
happened?
Queen G2.
Queen G2. Also not bad.
Yeah. He wants to bring back queen to d5, rook to b7, and threatening e5.
Regrouping.
Yeah.
Very careful play.
I don't know. Careful would be put queen on f6, king on g8, rook to d8 or f8, then play e5, and okay, take resignation.
Knight f3 now. Knight f3.
Knight f3.
Rook d2,
King c4.
queen e2,
Queen e2 check.
King c5.
rook
Rook
d5.
d5.
Something similar
Knight
is
f3 happened. This is on the
King
board.
2, King d4, Queen d1. King e3.
Didn't happen. Somehow.
He must have seen some win.
Queen d6 next.
Queen d6 check, yes, and rook g2 check.
That's it. Yep. We see Yan
Rook g2.
making a hand.
Well, queen d5 or maybe g6, yeah.
And then queen f4 check and rook h2 mate.
Yeah. And Magnus won his second game.
Good
Not a bad
stuff.
start.
What a fight. Also, kudos to Yan
Incredible.
from what looked completely hopeless. He put up such a fight, but in the end, Magnus came through. Oof. 2-0 for the world champion Magnus Carlsen. Needs one more draw out of the last two games to win this tournament. We'll hand over to Tanya Sachdev, who I'm sure has some more questions for our legends. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Yan. In this game, indeed, Yan tried to fight back, but Magnus always had it in control. And what was really amazing to see was how each move he played was, in fact, the top line of the computers. I mean, with such little time, he's just making the best move on the board, move after move. And next game, Magnus Carlsen will be playing with the white pieces, as you mentioned, Yan, needing only a draw. We might not just wrap up the Legends of Chess final in day 2, but also by game 3. Big chances of that. Sorry, just give me a second. Yes. So what's going on with our Twitter world was the other big conversation that we were having. And this is a question for Anatoly that I have. Yesterday on the broadcast, Anatoly, you mentioned that your opinion on Armageddon, you feel you're not for it. You said you absolutely hated it. It's a format in which the chess quality drops and it doesn't feel like chess anymore. A lot of people on Twitter were talking about this and they agree with you and your format of perhaps having more blitz games. A very interesting conversation going on our socials about this. Anatoly, what I want to know is that you're also involved with the candidates where Yan is one of the leaders of the event currently midway. This is the World Championship cycle, the biggest of it all. You are somebody who has so much, being a former world champion and a world champion for several years, who has so much experience in different formats of the World Championship. What is your opinion about the current World Championship format?
No, I think it's improving. Not so long time ago, I didn't like completely the system, but now it's getting better. Still, we have I think a little bit short events, not candidate tournament, but world championship match. It should be longer. I think it should be 16 or 18 games. But for candidates tournament, at least we came back from this knockout system, which is quite good and very positive for the current chess and for the future of chess.
All right. And Anatoly, you mentioned that you would prefer a longer World Championship match and perhaps 12 games is a little too short. What if after, let's say, having 16 games or 18 games, the score was still tied? How according to you should the match be taken forward then?
You know, title of world champion is so important, and I don't think we must stop additional games. I would say with 9-9 or 8-8 to play 2 additional games, and then if it's still equal, then to play probably blitz or rapid chess, but still to have a result on the chessboard, not the stupid idea with extra minutes and white should win.
Yes. So indeed, what you're saying is that a classical world champion, everything should be done to make sure that a classical world champion is decided in a classical game.
No, if you cannot solve the problem with the classical chess, but still you have blitz games, and any chess result is better than Armageddon.
Right. All right. And Anatoly, we also received a wonderful tweet by one of your fans. Let's have that up. And he sent this photograph to us. Said, so happy to see the world champion commenting at Chess Legends. Here I am sharing the best moment of my chess life with you, meeting Mr. Karpov at Heidelberg Die in 2017 at a Simmel. Amazing player and an unbelievable person.
Thank you, and best wishes, greetings.
There you have it, Sagas, the world champion, former world champion, the 12th world champion, one of the greatest players in the history of chess, with his wishes. Let's move on to the next tweet. We've got a little bit of time, so Anatoly, Yan, Judith, get your coffee ready because game 3 is going to be where it's going to be decided at. The world champion needing just a draw to wrap things up here at the Legends of Chess. Moving on, we had Dred writing in, so spoiled, having the wonderful insights of Judith, commenting live on my phone right now. It's a great time to be alive. Chess legends, go Magnus Carlsen. Dred, thank you so much for writing in, and absolutely right. We've had such amazing legendary chess, not just over the board, but also with our experts, with our analysts. It's been an absolute treat to watch. And yes, don't forget, in case you're on the go, you're on the move, you can follow the event live on the chess24 app as well. You can follow the broadcast, the games. So we're just making sure that no matter where you are, you don't miss out on the chess action. Thank you for writing in, Dred. Let's move on to the next one. And we had Omkar. She never played this is about Judith again. She never played the Women's World Championship and has defeated all of the 11 world champions in and after her era in an over-the-board game. Queen that truly ruled the game. Watching her commentate has been sheer joy. Thank you, Omkar. We're so happy to hear that. Yes, it's absolutely been fantastic to have Judith commentate with us. And Judith, how does it feel to get all this fan love right now? I mean, you've obviously received it for being the player you are, but even you're killing it as a commentator as well.
I'm very pleased. Thank you very much, all the positive comments, and I'm very happy if people are following and enjoying it. I try to do my best, showing my vision of chess, but of course the stars are the players, so they give the games, which is great fun to commentate.
All right, thank you, Judith. I think we have just a couple more minutes to get the next one up. And we had Vadivil writing in, I'm missing Hikaru in Chess Legends tournament. When he is around, it feels like Magnus is not that unbeatable. Hikaru, yes. Not Hikaru, sorry. Vadivil, yes. You are right. Hikaru is the only player in this entire tour who knocked out Magnus Carlsen in the semifinals. The only one to have done that. And not just in the semifinals of the Lindores Abbey, but was it the Lindores Abbey or was it the Chessable Masters? I'm losing my mind. It was the Lindores Abbey, of course, because Chessable Masters was won by Magnus Carlsen. Yes, who can forget that sensational semifinals? And not just that match. But every time Hikaru and Magnus have played throughout the entire tour, it's been an epic battle. The world champion has not had it easy. The good news for all the fans is that Hikaru Nakamura will be back in action during the Magnus Carlsen Chess Tour finals. And I see we've got all our commentators and chess experts back. So I'm going to ask Yan about this. Yan, Hikaru, the biggest challenge for Magnus?
We shall see. Judging from this tour, he's the only one who's beaten him. Although we should mention Anish Giri has also defeated him in an individual match. But the way Magnus is playing now, it's hard to think that he's not a very, very heavy favorite going into the finals, where the matches will be even longer. I think the semifinals will be best of 5. The finals will be best of 7. So he's good, that Carlsen guy. We'll see if anybody can challenge him. Daniel Dubov, also always an unpleasant opponent for Magnus, will be back. Looking forward to it. But before that, this is not yet over. Magnus Carlsen still needs half a point. The games have started. We get a good old modern. Anatoly, did you ever play d6, g6?
Yes. No, not with black. With white, many games.
With white? Knight to c6 on the board. Short castles. And pawn to e5. What do? You take it?
No, possible to take, yeah.
Nah, he wouldn't take it, will he? That would be boring.
You're not getting a King's Indian, Judith. There's no d5, c4 happening this time.
Well, D wouldn't be nice in this position.
Mm-hmm. Needing a draw looks like a natural choice, no?
Would Magnus do that?
Mm-hmm. I think
He's
been pragmatic when it comes to wrapping up tournament victories. But of course, Yan is not going to exchange
hesitating.
Queens, no? He would play this.
And then c3.
Yeah, he's hesitating how to continue. C3, DE.
He looks somewhat annoyed by the position. Maybe he's thinking the same thing, like, can I go DE5 or is that too boring? No, but he's played DE.
He played?
Yeah. And DE5 played. Oof. This will be tough to win.
Well, I think it's already very tough to play game 3 for Yan after this first 2 games, because, I mean, it was very clear that Magnus was playing much better in the first 2 games. Yan didn't have much chance.
Who has come back from 2-0 down in these matches recently? I think in these tournaments, no one. The famous case is Kayakin against Svidler in, when was it, 2015 in the World Cup finals. Other than that, I can't recall anybody.
But
so
let's
Queen
see.
D8, Knight D8. Where should the pieces go?
Knight F2.
Knight F2?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Knight E6.
Then G3.
And C3, yeah?
And C3 later on.
Well, it's not too much risk for white, for sure.
Magnus thinking quite a bit, though.
Possible immediately.
Sorry?
C3 is possible immediately. If you play knight e6, then bishop e3, knight f6, knight f to d2.
Yes, because otherwise knight bd2, knight g4. Knight c3 is played.
Carlsen just put the knight here. Knight e6 played.
Yeah. Knight c3, I don't like knight c3.
Yeah, it feels strange.
Yeah. So he wants to exchange on g5 or
Now c6 and knight g5. Yeah, that could be.
Maybe.
did it happen?
c6 on the board. He's thinking now.
But knight g5
Well,
then.
it will be quite painful to see knight g5 for Yan.
Maybe knight d8. Keep some pieces.
No, knight d8 rook d1.
Asking for trouble.
But knight h6.
Well,
Yeah, knight g5 is played. Oh, I guess he has to take it.
Yeah, probably he must take and to play what? To play.
well, h6, develop with the knight.
h6, yes, and then
Knight f6.
knight f6, yeah. f3, then bishop, no, not bishop, knight d7 probably.
a4.
a4, bishop f8,
Won't be easy to generate winning chances.
d4,
Actually, it's quite unpleasant.
Yeah, it's not fun.
what about bishop b4?
Knight e2.
King e7,
He heard us. He went knight back to d8. Rook d1 blitzed out and knight h6.
Knight h6. Yeah, because he wants to create some chances, some
chance.
game, right? The other one was just, it's either draw or a little worse.
Well, this is just worse.
Yeah. I was about to say that too. But okay, h6, f6, knight hf7, bishop e6. Okay, kicking, right?
yes.
Yeah.
No, knight on c3 is bad. I repeat.
But Anatoly, knight on c3 is bad every day, but this time it's a white knight.
Bishop e6, yeah.
I guess he'll
No,
take.
now actually
three,
it's
knight
quite
f4.
reasonable. It was the best choice what Yan did, I think, knight d8. It was definitely a double exclamation mark, seeing the situation.
Oh, exchange rooks and then
Maybe f5 one day.
f5, why f5?
Well, maybe it's early, but I was just wondering if black can be a little active. You'd rather play king e7, bring the rook or something else?
But maybe f5, yeah, might be f5.
Also stops knight d2. Maybe it makes some sense.
F4.
Magnus decides to not exchange bishops. He wants to leave all these pieces on their squares. Was bishop e2, bishop f8.
Well, bishop c5 or bishop b4?
Bishop b4. Good
Though
move.
I don't know if rook a4.
Oh, I was going to
Bishop
say knight
B-
a4.
a4, bishop d6.
Ah, you want to go back. Okay, I just thought that he wants to exchange on c3.
Now d2 and knight c4. No, that's not.
He played knight to d6 immediately.
Immediately.
Bishop b4. Knight
Yeah.
to d2.
Knight d2.
But now it's so easy to play for white.
Knight a4. Looks very strong.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and plus.
starts with f3. Bishop h6. Bishop f2.
Yeah, that bishop on f2 stands very powerful. Knight a4 is coming.
Also, maybe it's obvious, but I find it instructive that needing a draw, he does not exchange for the sake of exchanges on e6 or on h6, but he keeps the pieces when he feels they're better.
Castle here.
Castle.
Knight a4, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, knight
c5,
c5.
knight c4.
It would be unpleasant, but rook. If rook d8, then knight c5 and knight c4 later on. Yeah.
Yeah,
Here.
it's pressure.
D8, knight
Oh,
c4, this is big pressure. No, probably castle is a rook.
He goes rook d8. What's going on? Ah, bishop a7, knight c8 is the trap. Yeah?
No, this is good trick, yeah.
Probably Magnus will see it.
So what about knight a4 anyway?
Yeah, knight b3 is also there. Now that a7 is hanging.
Knight a4, then knight b5. So this knight is not so good.
Yeah, he goes knight b3. It's not fun.
Knight b3. Then
what can you do? a7 is hanging. a6 is an ugly move. Should b3.
Not very promising. Knight b3 on the board.
Yeah.
What will he do with his pawn on a7 hanging?
oh, maybe bishop c4 now.
He took an a6.
And a6.
Took an a6. Oh, this is bad.
But there is another knight coming.
Another knight or bishop
Yeah.
b6 and knight a4.
He just played knight a4, bringing it to c5.
Massage.
Knight c5.
8.
Knight c5, knight d6.
And knight, well, I mean, even white can just go bishop c4, bishop e6, and
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that
exchange,
move.
I guess.
Very strong.
No, this is bad position. Very bad position. King
Yeah, it's
f1
getting-
into bishop c4.
Yep.
No, probably black should exchange one rook.
He
And
did
then
it.
knight f to d6.
But I'm not even sure that one day knight b7 is not working.
That day could be very soon, no?
Well, maybe here.
But still knight c, no, knight c to d6.
Takes on b7 and a6.
And a6. Yeah.
And if knight bd6,
Bishop c5.
bishop f8.
Okay.
I'm not enjoying this. What can you do?
b4 probably.
King f7.
King f7. What is the next move?
Well, even here, bishop d6, knight d6, rook c1.
No, bishop d6.
But white is not going to go here.
Yeah, it's not really necessary. Just
Well, you can
checking
go to
the-
bishop c8 and rook d8. Oops. No.
that's-
No, that's why maybe instead of b4, king f1. So then it will work.
Yeah, takes rook d8, bishop g7, already perpetual check.
No, bishop
Worst
c5.
case, we take and go
Bishop
a6.
c5. What else?
Well, bishop c5, rook h8. Well,
Yes, knight a7. Not a problem.
yeah, rook h7 check.
King d6.
Sorry, where are we?
h4.
Bishop c5.
If here, bishop c5.
Knight a7, yeah.
He's not gonna win.
King E6.
Too many flank pawns.
Is the
White
position?
is winning, no? In this
He played knight
position.
b7. He thought about it a bit, and here he goes.
Couldn't resist.
Yeah. Nice spot by Judith. And also
still, what
coolly
about
does it in a must draw.
6.
Sorry.
Knight. You said what? You said knight c to d6. You take a6.
Yeah.
Then rook a1. Rook a1 will come. Knight a5, I thought.
Ah, okay.
And then a7, king goes, and rook a1. Then
Bishop
Ah,
d2
bishop d2.
you still have, but bishop b6.
Yeah.
Rook a8.
The fun comes to an end. Oh, yeah. We managed.
rook d1, knight b3. No, but before, probably not
No,
rook
but Magnus plays it the simple way.
before here. Yeah.
Bishop
yeah.
b6 is also not bad.
No, a7. No, a7 first. Then, yes, a7.
But I think bishop b6
And
would
you
be
don't
the
have-
simplest.
I have moves. And then before. Then rook d7 check,
And rook b7.
rook d7.
Yeah, not in time.
Rook d8 only move, yeah.
Ah, sorry. What have we got here?
Is that the position?
A6.
No, he played it very simple, just simplified it, bishop c8 and a6.
Yeah, he went knight bd6, not knight cd6. Carlsen takes and goes a6.
King f7, a7, knight e7, rook d7. No, knight e7, I thought, after a7.
Rook d7.
Ah, maybe bishop b6, no. No, rook d7 and rook b7.
Yeah. White is not going to lose this.
Well, poor Yan, seeing him on the screen, he understands that it's going to be the last game of the match, I'm afraid.
Yeah, he doesn't look thrilled.
The last game of the whole season, because if he loses, I think he doesn't qualify for the finals. It's going to be Magnus, Dubov, who else?
Nakamura and Ding.
No Anish?
No Anish.
And then who am I going to joke about?
It's a fair question. I don't know. Dubov?
And shortly they
Ding?
draw
Nakamura?
agreed.
Carlsen? Those are your options. Draw
So
agreed.
well done. Well done by Magnus.
Yeah, draw it. Okay, yes.
Fantastic day for him.
Yeah.
Seemed to be easy, but it was not at all.
This is it. Congratulations, Magnus Carlsen. Thank you so much, Anatoly Karpov, for joining us to analyze. It's been great fun and a great honor.
Okay.
And
All the best to all of you. And congratulations to Magnus.
Bye, and congratulations to Magnus, and yeah, see you in the final event.
Bye, Anatoly. It was nice to see you.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.
bye-bye. All right. So
Wow,
This
what
is
a
it.
match. We didn't think that it's going to be ending in out of 3 games. Looking the fight and determination by Yan yesterday and Magnus. It was quite amazing day yesterday. Today it was it was kind of a clear cut. Practically in both games after move 20, it was clear who is going to be the winner.
That's right.
Yeah, it was very convincing.
Yeah, and actually also already after game 1, it was set to lose that way for Yan. As I always say that you can lose a game, but it has a huge difference psychologically also on in which way you're losing your game. Yeah. Because that was not a huge fight. There was a few excellent moves made by Magnus, but there were things were happening too fast.
Yep, as we saw on the screen, he gets a consolation prize of $30,000. Played fantastic chess throughout this event. Won, I believe, every match except for the one against Magnus in the qualification stage. And the world champion, the winner of this tournament, is here. Magnus Carlsen, congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Let's bring in Tanya for further questioning.
Magnus, big congratulations from all of us as well as the social media world, which is wishing you a lot of love and a lot of luck for the tournaments coming. Well done.
Thank you.
Today, you made it look easy.
Yeah, today was obviously a much better day than yesterday. The first game never really got going, and then in the second game it was unbelievably complicated. But it seemed that I was sort of always on the better side there.
And do you think that because it's been the format itself is pretty brutal and Yan had an extremely difficult semifinals, do you think stamina and energy also played a role and perhaps made it harder for Yan?
I can imagine that. Obviously, I've won my matches so far with pretty much the minimum amount of games, so clearly that helps. Yeah, it was clear that he didn't really have it today.
Yeah, we felt that as well, especially if you compare this day 2 of the finals to what happened yesterday. Magnus, let's quickly take a look at the games before we quiz you a little more on other stuff. Game 1 was it was a different opening approach from the very beginning from you, from what we saw yesterday. And Judith was quizzing Yan at the beginning that what is it that that plays into you deciding what kind of openings to go for. So in general, what was the approach coming into today and playing a different opening altogether?
Telling you the truth, I had other sharper plans, and then I just decided at the board, basically, you know, stuff it. I'm just gonna go for the London, and yeah, it worked out well. So I cannot actually complain.
It did, and the reason for that seemed to be this move f5 by Yan on the board. If we can just go, let me just bring up that position. What was it? Sorry, go on.
No, yeah, sure. I was kind of half hoping for f5, but I thought it was such a serious blunder that it could never happen. But yeah, before this, it was obviously very complicated position with so many different options, right? So it was really hard to judge what was going on, and I mean, yeah, I just gotta get there.
Yeah, because right before f5, it did look like Yan had managed to complicate the position, and it looked like a position to play for all 3 results. But then after f5, just completely falls apart for black.
Yeah, after f5, it's a position of 1 result, really. So that was kind of unfortunate for him, obviously.
And then we had game 2, which also went unfortunately for him. And I want to discuss this moment where he played rook h4. Yeah, right here. Did you think about this knight f4 option? Did you calculate this? Because we were discussing this in the commentary.
Yeah, that was a big choice at this point. Eventually, I sort of decided along the lines of I wanted to. I don't know. I felt that this was a bit too passive, so I wanted to fight for the initiative more than this. Like he would trade queens and then go knight a5. And next he will go king g3, and then my knight will be kind of marooned on h4, and practically it seemed like a really poor choice. And I think also probably objectively his position is pretty good here. So it's just an extra option that I didn't eventually go for. If I was going to go for this, probably I would just have to go knight f4, queen f2, and then take on c4. But that didn't seem very promising. For instance, takes and then castle.
You're absolutely on the money with your evaluation about that ending having a lot of compensation and actually being even slightly better for white. This is something that even the engines as well as everybody on the commentary agreed on. Did you consider after bishop h4 king f1 at all?
Yeah, I mean, all of the king moves actually make some sort of sense. King d2, king d1, and also king f1. I didn't consider it much other than I'll go knight f4, he'll take, I'll take back. If e5, then, you know, castles shouldn't be too bad. I didn't see how it would lose immediately, and I felt if it doesn't lose immediately, it cannot be that awful. That was basically my considerations here.
And in this game, sorry, go on.
Yeah, sure.
No, I was just wondering that where in this game, because the way you played actually was fantastic. But at what point did you feel that you were much better in this game?
I only felt that I was much better after queen g2 in the game. I think queen g2 was kind of poor, because I thought he would go bishop b7, and so I can either give up the rook or probably just go rook cd8, which makes a lot more sense. But these kinds of positions, you never know. He's gonna have a 3-0 majority on the queen side. I'm gonna have 4 against 1 on the king side. I'm gonna exchange up, but he's gonna have some well-placed pieces. I will have some well-placed pieces. I mean, it was just a position where, I mean, you can feel that your position is good, but there's no way you can feel comfortable whatsoever. So it was only after queen g2 that I felt good. That's one of the weaknesses of, or probably the main weakness of his game, that he sometimes plays excessively for tricks. And I think this was certainly one such case where he needed to take more normal approach and just take the material back while he could, because playing for tricks just landed him in a lost position.
Right, that's a fascinating insight into Yan's play. Now, Magnus, like we said that today, wrapping up the match in 3 games, you have not lost a single match in this entire event. That makes it to 13 matches. 13 matches, right? In terms of scoreline, throughout the tour of the Magnus Carlsen Chess Tour, this has been your best performance. But what about in terms of the competition you faced and in terms of your level of play? Which one has been, according to you, your best shape in this tournament, in this tour so far?
I would say that I played, for most of the tournament, I think I played somewhat better in the Chessable Masters. So I'm not like 100% satisfied. Today was good. Obviously, it was mostly good, but I felt that in the Chessable Masters it was even better. Perhaps except from the final days, from the final day of the finals and also the first day of the preliminaries. But the result, of course, is wonderful. But there are always things to work on, and there's the final coming up where I'll be facing, I think, even tougher competition than I had here. So I always need to be better.
But that's obviously the whole point of the tour, to have the players who perform the best throughout the tour, to have them play in the final. Magnus, I think you've always expressed this feeling that you're not 100% satisfied with your play, and that's always been interesting because you seem to be winning it all. And it's a bit of a joke that in the Magnus Carlsen Chess Tour, which you organize, which is insanely entertaining, you call all these best guys in the world, these legends, to come and play, and then you're just crushing everyone and sort of just winning everything on your own tour. So what do you got to say about that?
The others have to step it up. That's the main part, right? But I mean, I have lost one match against Nakamura, and in my mind, that's too many. So I'm never completely satisfied.
Talking about that match against Hikaru, in fact, he has been the only player who beat you in this entire tour and knocked you out of the semifinals. You will be facing him in the finals, and we know how competitive you are. Is that something you're looking forward to?
Will I play him in the semifinals?
You're playing him in the semis, and then if you're playing Ding Liren in the semis of the finals. But perhaps you could face Hikaru.
Oh, yeah. I think obviously whoever I play in best of fives, and hopefully there's going to be a best of seven for me as well. It's gonna be awesome. Lots of days of good chess, and probably some ups and downs as well. So I'm definitely looking forward to that. And the turnaround is so short that there's no room to rest.
And Magnus, on knowing that you will be playing Ding in the semis of the Magnus Carlsen Chess Tour final, what are your first thoughts about facing him?
It's gonna be unbelievably tough. He obviously had a terrible event here, but he's shown such class in the other events of the tour that yeah, it's plain to see that he's a very strong opponent. So I just hope his internet's going to be fine in general, and that we're going to have some exciting duels.
Talking about exciting duels, the excitement never seems enough for you, because we've often seen you after your games here and this brutal format, you go on to play more chess on the internet, and that's happened time and time again. What is it, not enough chess happening for you, or is that part of the cool down?
I'm just an addict. I like chess. That's the main takeaway.
That is a great takeaway. And Magnus, you will be doing a simul, apparently no rest for the wicked. You're going to be doing a simul with a lot of players on the 6th of August before the finals. And a lot of viewers have signed up for it. What would be your advice to them? What is it that they got to do to give you a tough fight in a simul?
I have no idea.
Okay,
Play quickly, play well. hope for the best. I mean, seriously though, I've gotten lots of great fights from people of all strength in Banter Blitz before, and I think this format is going to even the chances even more. So it's I'm sure there's going to be some good games.
We're looking forward to that. But before that, also tell us, what are your plans of celebration? It's been a tough event. You've smashed the field. You've had a great tournament, this one. How are you planning to celebrate?
I'm going to celebrate by thinking of what I'm going to do against Ding. That's all.
I think there's some problem with Magnus, could you adjust your mic? We couldn't hear you. Or I missed.
Yeah, I'm going to celebrate by thinking of my match against Ding.
Already? Not too soon?
No, that's not too soon.
Okay, well, from my side, Magnus, that's all the questions I got. Thank you so much. Congratulations. And Yan, Judith, any questions for Magnus?
I'd just like to congratulate to you for today and yesterday's. It was you're a really great champion. I'm always amazed to follow you, and it was a great pleasure to commentate today's games. Unfortunately, Yan couldn't make it up to move 20. Neither of the game are more or less than it was already decisive. But it's incredible how you make the winning positions converted into real victories. So thanks very much for being here and showing the performance.
Nothing to add. Impressive stuff. Thanks, everybody. It's been great.
Thank you.
And there we have it. The world champion takes the Legends of Chess, the 4th event of the Magnus Carlsen Chess Tour. Of course, he had already booked his spot in the finals of the tour. And by him winning this event, it means the 4th spot is going to be Ding Liren. And also big congratulations to Yan Nepomniachtchi. What a fight he gave. Yesterday's first set was absolutely epic. Yan, of course, goes back home with $30,000. But I know it's bittersweet for him because this was his chance to book his spot in the finals of the tour. But it's all been a Magnus Carlsen show for us. The Kiva finals of the Magnus Carlsen Chess Tour begins on the 9th of August, and the 4 finalists of the tour are Magnus Carlsen, Daniel Dubov, Hikaru Nakamura, and Ding Liren. The pairings for the semis are Magnus Carlsen will face Ding Liren in the semifinals, while Daniel Dubov will play Hikaru Nakamura. That's an encore of the Linderus Abbey Rapid finals that we saw, where Daniel Dubov beat Hikaru. It's going to be interesting to see how this one goes. The big $300,000 final coming up in just a couple of days. And yes, but before we talk a little more about that, let's wrap up with getting final thoughts from Yan and Judith about how the event has gone and their feelings on the chess we saw in the last couple of days, weeks.
Yeah, for me, it's just been such a privilege to have everyone in action. Like, I lost count of the world champions, but we've literally had Karpov, Kasparov, Anand, Kramnik, and Carlsen, plus Judith Polgar in one show with in different functions. And it's just such a privilege to have a front row seat. I enjoyed it greatly, not just the world champion, but also to see guys like Gelfand and Ivan Chuk getting back into the mix. Peter Leko, how motivated he was, how well prepared he was, still being his old self. So I've just had a blast, and this event was special. I've done a lot of commentary on super tournaments, but to see all these old legends competing with the new generation and then to be joined in the commentary by more such legends also. Shout out to Rustam Kazimchanov, who also I had a great time with. So yeah, it's just been great fun. Thanks to everybody.
Thank you, Yan. Indeed, this was a super special and a super unique event. Such a great opportunity, like you said, to see all these legends battle it out, this intergenerational battle of clash of styles, clash of ages. What an event we've had. And Judith, over to you. Your final thoughts on the Legends of Chess.
I'm just thrilled with the last week. That I'm happy that I was able to spare the time, and I was here with Yan. It was great to work with you. I think it was great that Tanya colored with the different stories, and of course the audience was great, and thank you for all the compliments. But I think, of course, the players, it was so great to see the older generation, the older legends, and to see the youngsters. And you can feel online also that how stressful it can be for them. They got used to it already, that they play online, and what are the pluses and minuses. Of course, they don't see the psychological part of the game, right? They don't see exactly the opponent is with their body language and their look. But still, somehow we start getting this special atmosphere for an event like this. And it was a very colorful commentating team. It was a great joy for me also, not only to be with you guys, but also, of course, to commentate with Gary and going through on the lines and teasing each other a little bit, also with Anatoly Karpov. But with all the guests, it was a great experience for me. So I'd like to thank for all of you.
Yeah. Also, special shout out to Alexander Grishuk. I love having him around so much, not just the chess insight he brings. He knows so much about this game, but also you never know where he's going to go. He has a lot of interesting takes. And for me, frankly, he just has to say yes, and I already think it's hilarious. So I love having Sasha around as well.
I can only agree with that.
I think we all can agree with that. Judith, Yan, it's been just amazing. We've done so many events, but I think this one has been really special. And as Judith, you pointed out, watching you analyze with Gary and with Anatoly and with Yan and with Sasha was just an absolutely incredible experience. Super inspiring for so many of us watching. Thank you so much for all that you do. And thank you, Yan, for everything. And I've had an incredible time doing what I do. And the big part of that has, of course, been our audience. Interacting with all of you has been such a pleasure. Thank you so much for following the event, for watching all the action and being a part of it by engaging with us, with all your tweets and interacting with us on our different social media channels. Of course, as always, the action on chess24 is far from stopping. The chess has to go on because it's what we all need in these times. And we have the finals coming up on the 9th, but before that, a lot more excitement. On the 6th, we've got a simul given by the world champion Magnus Carlsen. On the 7th, we've got a simul given by one of our legends, a legend of Hearthstone, a legend of commentary, a legend over the board, 8-time Russian champion, will be giving a simultaneous on the 7th of August. And of course, you can book your spot in any of these by buying or extending your membership to a 2-year plan. Lots more activities, lots more innovative ideas coming up. And of course, definitely you can also support us by going and checking out all the cool merch in our shop. There was a really cool tweet we got about how most of you are requesting for a Yan mug with Jan Gustafsson on it, having his coffee with his mug. I think that we will have to wait for, because if that comes in the shop, I'm not sure if any of the other stuff's going to sell. Jan, what is your thought?
As we have a global pandemic, we can't completely make Amazon collapse by having Jan Gustafsson mugs. Like, go easy on them. Or the many other great delivery services.
I can't argue with that. I'm sure that would break the internet. And this was the one. Please make a Yan mug that has Yan on it, holding a Yan mug, looking deeply into a messy position. I'll be amongst the first to buy such an artifact. Completely agree with you. We all can't wait for that. But before that, of course, don't forget all the chess action that's coming up on chess24. Once again, a big thank you from me for all of you for being a part of it. And everything that chess24 does, and everything, all the chess that we are bringing to the world. Chess24's response to the pandemic by putting this entire tour together so that we can see some of the best players in the world, not some, the best players in the world, in different time formats, in brutal environments, just come and play and provide us with all the entertainment, not just with the play over the board, but the amazing commentary that we've had. So big shout out to the big team on chess24, and don't forget that you can support and make sure that all of this continues by going premium. So do consider going premium if you have enjoyed all that has happened over the last couple of months with the Magnus Carlsen chess tour and with all that chess24 has put together with the banter blitz, with the Q&As, with all these amazing activities that are happening around us. Because I think you all can agree that we need more of that. Chess Action will continue on the 9th of August. It's a sign off for me. And before that, I have to thank our producer, Soteris, who's been absolutely fantastic and making all of this, is putting all of this together behind the scenes. So big shout out to Soteris and the chess24 team and Magnus Carlsen for doing all of this. And thank you for watching us, staying with us. We'll see you soon.
As the world entered an unprecedented crisis, chess24 quickly created the first of its kind online chess tour. Working from Monday to Monday, we brought together the best players in the world for the largest online prize fund ever. Broadcast live in 10 languages, the tour innovated and filled the void created by the lack of in-person play, reaching more people worldwide than any chess event, live or online, ever. As the first season approaches its conclusion, we want to thank you for supporting chess24 by going premium. Whether because you want to improve your chess by perusing our vast library of content available only to premium members, or just to say thank you for all the fun we've had. We appreciate the support as we strive to entertain chess fans around the globe and expand the reach of the royal game.